1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
The extent of my absolute lack of knowledge of popular culture is really, it's amazing.
Ashanda to the name.
It really is amazing. Hi, guys. It's Thursday. It's October 11th. Tom Sokolowski joining us. I want to get into, actually, you made me think of something. So you were just waxing rhapsodic, you and Jess, about Buffy the Vampire Killer, and you
Slayer.
All right.
Get it right,
All
Mama.
right, well, see there. Case in point.
Well, but the point is, it was very interesting. Have you ever seen
Oh,
this?
no, please don't do it again.
No.
All right.
There was this show called, I can't remember the name of it, but it's on Bravo at 11 o'clock, and it's this man, Andy Cohen, who is the
Yes.
And he, every day, and he has all these reality stars, but at every day he always has his moments, and he was asking the guest last night about what tells you that something or someone is really a douchebag, because there's some character on some TV show, which I don't watch, who they call a douchebag. But anyway, and the question, one of the issues was if you are proud of not having a TV, or say you never watch TV.
Oh, yeah. Or I only watch PBS.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Right.
And everyone said, douchebag.
Okay. It's not that I don't watch
Sitcoms
or dramas. And I actually made an effort. Every once in a while, one will get me. I made an effort last night to watch two that I've been told were really good.
Okay.
The one is the big one that everybody just says is the funniest show in the universe, Modern Family.
I watched that once, yeah. I think
you watched it once? Okay. I watched it. It was sort of, the gay couple were doing some stuff. It was sort of funny, cute, cute. And then I found my mind wandering, and then I found I just can't. And I wandered away, and I thought, what is it with me? I mean, this is well written. I've laughed a few times, and then I thought of it. I don't like zingers. Now, zingers have been in the news a lot lately, right? Because Romney supposedly was working some for the zingers. I don't like zingers. I don't like the kind of comedy that you can feel building up to something. It just becomes so
and that is a source of
rote.
Whether it's theater or movies or TV, it's about zingers. You're waiting for someone to say,
you go from one. That's right. The whole idea of how you write those is you go from zinger to zinger to zinger. Exactly. And I guess the ones that are really good, not only are the zingers good, but maybe the segues are good. And even there's a sense of character development or something. But there's something about just zingerism and I figured that out somehow. That's what it is, zingers. But that doesn't explain why then the next show that I told myself I had to try out, which came on after it and has gotten rave reviews, Nashville, and this was its opening.
Oh, Salvo.
Salvo. Now, this would be a drama thing.
Yes, right.
And it stars a woman who I just think is an incredible actress, whose name I don't know, of course.
Oh, the one who was on that football
Friday
show.
Night Lights.
Right. She was quite wonderful.
Yeah, she's marvelous. Connie Britton. She's just marvelous. Anyway, so I thought it's supposed to be really well written. It's supposed to be I lasted, again, about 10, 15 minutes. Now, there it's not zingers.
No.
But what it is just The same old, same old. Oh, here we got it. The minute you get it. The certain
old
tension,
broad, new broad,
old broad, new broad. Just the whole thing. And I just.
Well, my question I have for you is: do you like to read fiction, or do you mostly read nonfiction?
I read fiction.
Oh no, that's interesting.
Because I have to read so much nonfiction.
No, I understand that, but I would have thought, I mean, especially with the last comment you made about, same old story, boy meets girl.
Well, because there are just so many archetypal stories. I don't know, but there's something about the formula that most television drama, 60-minute drama, 30-minute sitcoms employ that I just...
Oh, that's right, because it has to be the joke and then get them on, get them off.
It wearies me. I don't know. I mean, I always tried to figure out why I don't respond.
Well, the thing I was trying to think about it when you said that, I was trying to think. Now, when you think of zingers, like, and his brother was a kangaroo or something, But are there zingers in more traditional like there probably are zingers in Shakespeare?
Oh yeah, probably.
But I'm trying to think of one. I mean, they would be much more articulate, but still, it's like a quick line done sometimes at the expense of someone who's too stupid or too fat.
That's right. Well, like Hamlet.
de Bergerac.
Listen, like Hamlet does some under his breath zinger type things about Polonius.
Right, that's right.
About what a clown he is and stuff. I mean, but all I know is for some reason I was absent through much of the 70s when everybody, Archie Bunker and all this kind of stuff. I just can't.
And that, although brilliant, was just riven with zingers.
I know. I don't know what
that's very interesting.
I don't know.
So that
doesn't make me it doesn't make me a douchebag. I do watch television.
Say you were. I just
but I understand that, I'm above it all type. That's not what it is.
No, I understand.
I've never understood what it is that I'm not relating somehow.
Well, and it's true because it was interesting, in terms of the debate, which I haven't been here since the debate. The things we remember, other than Mr. Romney looking more relaxed than the president, etc., but were some of those lines,
like the zingers,
the Big Bird line, or the line about you can control your own airplane, but you can't control the facts.
That's right.
That was a good line.
Well, that was a prepaid.
Of course.
Zinger.
But I mean, that's what speeches are about,
Well,
the sort of. Coup d'etat is a zinger. I mean, by its very nature.
Are you going to watch the debate tonight?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh, man.
We'll see what this is.
It's a bitch being a good citizen sometimes. I don't really want to watch that debate.
Well, the only
I might prefer watching Modern Family, frankly, or whatever. I suppose they took all the shows.
Well, the only thing is, it's very interesting. People were saying, Monday, now they're both back, and President Obama's, being really strong in terms of his speeches. And I thought, well, that may be good, but in those speeches, they're going to places where, other than some hecklers, they're going to 2,000 people who are for whatever candidate. Mm-hmm. So they're expecting to get a positive response, or at least a neutral one.
Right.
Whereas this was a chance where supposedly 60 million people watched it, and there had to be, the largest group had to be in the middle. And so that was the
No. There's no way the largest group was in the middle.
You think so?
Because the undecided voters in this election are like...
That's true.
They're few and far between.
You're right.
So most of those 60 million were partisans. So it's not as if the president missed an opportunity to change, 30, 40 billion votes.
Yeah, okay. But maybe 10.
Yeah, whatever.
Maybe 10.
Yeah, whatever. Clearly he was... I'm mad at him.
Well, and the thing is, what's interesting, and this goes to the zinger part of it, which is, for whatever reasons, whether he was tired, and they said he doesn't like debates, it is the fact that great speechification is, in a way, about zingers, and it's called rhetoric. And it's about swaying people, and you don't sway people by being bland. You sway people by having great rhetoric. I mean, think about...
That's true.
I mean, Churchill. I mean, those speeches, neither of us were born.
But we can quote all kinds. I know. That's right. Yeah.
So moving.
Right.
And that's what they're meant to be. When you give a speech, you're standing on a plinth, you're the tallest person there, and you're saying, I'm going to lead these 20,000 people in the auditorium or in this arena to greatness.
Okay, here's another, though, a great one that you might be able to say by heart that you weren't there. The Gettysburg Address. There's no zingers in that. That is a constant.
Well, okay.
Now that's a different. What is that?
Well, no, I mean, there's different kinds of rhetoric. But it is all it mounts.
It does. It's just he's taking you along to see what he has a point to get across, and that's something else. What is that?
Well, my favorite one on that is when I talk about rhetoric, the great line from Shakespeare, "Friends, Roman countrymen, lend me yours." And then he says, "I come to bury Caesar, not to pray." And then he does just the opposite.
Right.
And it's so brilliant because he has you in his arms and like, cha-dump. I mean, it's a brilliant speech.
Right.
And that's a kind of zinger. It's not like a funny line, but it's sort of, you're taken in and all of a sudden, and you can't, just like with a zinger, you can't not laugh. Just like I would think a racist joke or whatever joke is, I always say to people, well, you laughed, and you can't then immediately follow and say, oh, that's terrible.
Terrible. But you do sometimes laugh and then say it's terrible.
Because the good thing about a good line, zinger or rhetorically brilliant, is you get at a common truth. Which may be stereotypical, but it is a common truth. Okay. And if it wasn't, you wouldn't laugh, or you wouldn't be touched, or you wouldn't weep,
Well, it's interesting you brought up Lend Me Your Ears. Because how often have we ever talked about Julius Caesar on this program? You and I.
Yeah, well, should we?
Yeah, no, I just
next week it's going to be Hamlet, or maybe much about nothing.
Well, here, this is the reason.
There's a reason.
I already mentioned Julius Caesar when we were off air before the show started.
Did you?
Well, you sort of pointed out. They found, archaeologists have said,
yes, that's right.
They have discovered the exact place where Caesar was beset upon by his assassins and killed. Now, you, upon seeing this, said, that's ridiculous! They've known where that is forever. There's a restaurant right on top of it. What's the name of that restaurant? I can't remember the name of that restaurant.
There is, and I've sat there with archaeologists in Rome. And I wouldn't say, but I'm not an archaeologist. They said yes. But where do they say it is?
Okay. They say they found the exact spot where he was stabbed on the Ides of March, 44 BC.
Right.
This is from the Spanish National Research Council.
Oh, they know.
They have found a concrete structure that was erected by Caesar's adoptive son, Augustus, after the assassination to put on the spot where he had been killed.
Stabbed, yeah.
Okay. And that thing has, not been found. So, I mean, when you're saying that they know exactly where, I mean, obviously these guys are digging down. But,
I mean, do they say where in terms of...
Yes, exactly
geographically in Rome.
Oh, look, it's right at Mario's Diner. Where Tom Sokolowski dines when he's in Rome. That's exactly where it is.
It's not Mario's Diner. No. What's the name of the restaurant, though? No, there isn't.
No, they don't have the restaurant here. But here's what it said. The finding confirms that Caesar was stabbed right at the bottom of the Curia of Pompey.
Right, that's right.
While he was presiding over the Senate.
Yes.
Consequently, they believe he was seated in a chair right there. It says they found the spot where they believe Caesar was, stabbed. We know this because there's a structure that seals the place where Caesar must have been seated, presiding over the Senate session when he was stabbed. Blah, 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 blah. A comparison of the archaeological remains and the ancient texts led the researchers to their conclusion. It was a 3-year project supported by the Rome City Council.
Well, all right.
Okay. The discovery in the center of Rome was impressive. Thousands of people today take the bus and the tram right next to the place where Julius Caesar was stabbed. So there must be a bus stop right there.
Well, no, the point they're making
is right in the middle.
Well, is that everything in Rome, it's all strata.
That's right.
And everything dig down, and it's, someone else's bones there.
That's right.
No, I think the restaurant is called something de Pompeii, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I'm going to send an email to a dear friend who was with me when I was in Rome and say, what's the story of this?
Who knows? We should take a break. It's a little early, but
That's
I can't segue into anything other. We had some interesting segues if you think about it. Oh, I know.
All right.
Okay.
Segue, girl. Segue.
No, this is not a segue. I was showing you my...
Now that was a zinger.
That was...
Well, but everyone, if I laughed, they got the point of what I'm saying. Never mind. Go ahead.
I was... You had emailed the show yesterday.
Oh, right, about bugs, yes.
Because you wanted us to cease and desist talking about praying mantises.
And other such bugs, cockroaches and pythons.
Well, I forced Tom to look at my video of my praying mantis, and you...
Yeah, it was quite nice, actually.
You have to capitulate.
Yes, no, the picture was quite wonderful. I mean...
And it's the insect that's so amazing.
Well, right. Well, but also I said the fact that, a non-professional photographer, unless I don't know something about you, with a cell phone, not a camera, was able to get such a very up-close picture that you could see the chewing and mastication and the fraternization of the bug with Lynn. And then he gets a good chew and drops the hot dog. He drops
a big hunk, yeah. He drops a hunk.
And then sort of looks down, and there's you I saying, like, oh, shit. I like the end the best,
I'm most amazed by the heart-shaped head.
Yes, right, exactly.
It's total heart.
Exactly.
It's a heart.
Well, and also the 6. Well, it's like there's the 6 legs, and then I don't know if you'd call them mandibles, but the
That's
bigger
what they
ones
appear to be. Yeah.
And it was interesting because watching this thing, the way he held this food, whatever it was, bug, was almost like human hands holding.
It looked like he had an opposable thumb.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. It's so human. It's so freaky.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, it's funny, before you came in, Jess and I were talking about this. It's such a buggy show, isn't it? And we were talking about cockroaches, and I was saying, and Chris made some comment yesterday, because I then...
About the guy who ate,
there was a contest of a guy who ate 1 million cockroaches and then vomited and died. But Chris made some funny comment, and I thought he was going to say, I was telling Jess this, that they maybe opened this guy up and the cockroaches weren't dead. And the reason I bring that up is they are... along with dinosaurs, I think they're connected to dinosaurs, some of the oldest species which have not evolved in the last 60 million years.
Well, because they're done evolving.
Well, they're so brilliant. I mean, they lived among the rocks and the magma, and now they live with upper-class people on Park Avenue, and they still survive brilliantly. And getting rid of them is like getting rid of the Iraqis,
Well, for God's sake. Now, you see, you might have to walk that one back. God almighty.
Well, they're entrenched.
Okay, but the Iraqis...
Well, I don't know. I couldn't think of...
Jeez. But you took my thought away. What were? No. The animals that have evolved, and there's just nothing better you can do.
Yeah,
so I think an alligator is like that, isn't it? Or
right, because they're connected to dinosaurs.
Alligators, crocodiles. But how do we know they're not like fine-tuning certain things? Because they got
people who are bug experts say that.
They say so.
But what's interesting, you probably know this since you're such a wise lady and have been on the news and whatever. You know what is the closest to dinosaurs of things?
Birds.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously dinosaurs look like...
The more you think about it, though, it's perfectly... Look at Big Bird.
Well, yeah, I was going to say even more. We had this brilliant guy who has now moved to the University of Chicago, Shushe Lo, a Chinese paleontologist, and he found this little thing. It was like maybe 3 inches long, which was a little dinosaur fossil from China that has a wing on it.
Right. They have wings, and now they think many of them were feathered.
Interesting.
Interesting indeed.
Well, the one thing I once asked Lo, he was a sweet guy, and I just said I had just taken to godchildren, to see this dinosaur show that was one of the last things that was in the Civic Arena with these animatronic things.
Right.
And I said, Lo, what do I know about dinosaurs? I know what the general public does, but I said, do we know what they sounded like? I said, were they like, ah, as we always think? And he said, we don't know. They could have been like, chirp, chirp, chirp.
Right, yeah, no idea.
But you expect out of this huge thing, it was this roaring.
Right.
No idea. We're not really even so sure about the color.
That's right. Although they're starting to think now that they may have been much more colorful than
Right, exactly, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What do we know?
Well, to me, that's amazing. I mean, one of the reasons I'm a historian is that, and I only go back in my history to sort of antiquity. But it's just such fun to find information and learning what you can find if you really look.
Yeah.
I mean, people look, but people don't see.
But here's something else. You realize then that once you start, just like looking at the praying mantis.
Right.
Once you start just focusing on one extraordinary thing in this world, living or dead.
Right.
You can see how somebody can become obsessed for a lifetime with something that might be like
fantastically unimportant.
The mandible of a praying mantis. You can see because it's unbelievable. You take one bird.
Sure.
One bird. Birds are the most amazing thing.
Oh, sure.
Praying mantis is the most.
Well, and what we find is people who do that sort of thing and do it with some forethought and with some skill and with some scientific acumen or any kind of acumen, that when they do that, they then find the cure for cancer because there's something in that structure that relates to the structure of a bird, which relates to our structures, and voila, we can now repair someone who's broken their wrist,
Let's hear it for the thinkers. Let's hear it for the obsessive.
Yeah.
Let's hear it for those who just...
Well, inquisitiveness.
Are constantly curious, right.
And then let's bring up something which I'll bring up my curmudgeonliness. One of my colleagues, when I first moved here to Pittsburgh, said, this is not a city of inquisitive people. And I must admit, I think I've found that to be true. Not among all people. There's a lot of bright people here. But not a lot of people who want to see new things. Either things that are new things or just where Caesar was ostensibly stabbed. And I think, every time you find a new fact or something, it's fantastic. We talked a few months ago about in the last 4 months, we've learned what the mini nano thing that creates ions is. And then we found out the DNA business. I mean, two things that are going to change the way children in grade school, let alone Nobel Prize, are going to look at science. In 10 years, those science books are going to have except the ones in Texas, are going to have no. And did you know this? I'm so big a
parenthesis. Yes, I do.
Where, because they buy the most, and textbook publishers don't want to have various editions, the Texans win. So people in Westchester...
they have a great deal of say and power. And that's true. So
if you have a great prep school in New York City... They're still reading some crappy book that deals with creationism because that's what these dumb Texans want. But just that notion. I mean, finding out these new things, it's so wonderful. And then you have to have that notion of saying, okay, this has totally turned around what Mama done told me and what religious person done told me.
Right.
And even teacher, Sister Mary... Unctuous told me, and fine. They told us the best of what they knew in 1954, 1971. But it's 2013, and I'm glad. I wouldn't have gotten here if they had not told me that, to be able to step up that ladder.
I'm with you. I'm so with you.
Now you can pay me, listeners, $40,000 to be a motivational speaker. Don't you think most motivational speakers are jerks?
I was just going to say bullshitters.
Bullshitters.
Well, sure.
And $40,000.
Oh, and now is that the same thing as being a life coach?
Or a TED person?
Hey, pay me.
Those TED people.
Oh, God. We have to take a break.
All right, let's take a break.
We have to take a break. We'll be right back.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen Live after this.
Pittsburgh City Paper's annual Halloween guide is available now. Pick up one today for the most comprehensive listings of Halloween events in Western PA, plus Radio Tokyo, Mary Poppins, and News of the Weird. Pittsburgh City Paper, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania, and on the web at pghcitypaper.com, and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
I know I said I don't like most TV shows and stuff like that, but I love movies. I love movies, so maybe just long form is what I need. I don't know. And the greatest place to see movies, believe me, is not at the Cineplex. The greatest place is at the Harris Theater starting this Friday, because that's when the Real Q Festival kicks off. That's the new snappy name for the Pittsburgh International Lesbian and Gay Film Festival, which brings unbelievable movies to town. Unbelievable. So if you want to know what they are, when they are, what's happening, you could check out our own Pittsburgh City Paper. You could also go straight to the website, and that is easy. Real Q, R-E-E-L, movie real, realq.org. Simple as that. And it runs from October 12th through the 21st. So we're talking about, for you movie buffs, this is heaven. And it starts, well, October tomorrow. 12th. That's tomorrow. The 12th, yes. It starts tomorrow. Enjoy. Have fun. Check it out.
It takes 12 years to create a graduate. It takes about the same time to create a dropout. And at the end of the day, the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be you. So United Way is asking you to make a pledge. Tutor a child who needs help. Mentor a kid who needs someone on their side. Volunteer to read to children. Because when a child advances, we all advance. Be a reader, tutor, or mentor. Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United. Take the pledge now at liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Once again, here's Lynn Cullen.
After another, you like listening to comics.
I like comics.
Well, but that's like zinger, 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 zinger.
I know. I don't know.
That's it. You should really think about it, write about it, because I think that is. I'm fascinated by that.
Well, I just had the thought last night. I haven't, been able to flesh it out.
I'm not coming to your house if you don't flush.
All right. So, hey, listen, I just want, these are real quick little, I don't know about you. Do you ever nap?
Sip song.
Do you nap?
Sometimes, yeah.
Are you a good, some people can just say, like John F. Kennedy apparently could just put his head down, out.
My father could do that, too.
6 minutes, up.
Well, no, I can't do that.
I can't even imagine it.
I could like an hour nap, maybe, but...
Okay, well, here's the thing. I came upon this wonderful thing about how to take a better nap.
Okay.
And the one thing you don't want to do, I'm no good at it, because if I finally do manage to fall asleep, I sleep too long.
Okay.
And then you get into that deep sleep.
Oh, right.
And then when you wake up, you're groggy for hours.
You have to have that parabola.
Right. So you should never sleep for more than 45 minutes.
Okay.
You should set an alarm.
Okay, that's interesting.
Okay. Don't worry about whether or not you're going to fall asleep, which, of course, is what I would do, because they say if you simply close your eyes and start breathing, that right away produces more alpha waves in your brain, which calms your nervous system. And, in fact, a lot of people who say, like my mother always says, she's lying down, she says, I didn't sleep a bit. When we maybe tiptoed into the room and she was out cold. Right. And she doesn't think she slept.
No, I've had that feeling too.
I have too. And they say in that kind of lighter sleep, you really don't acknowledge it as sleep. You're not aware that you are, but that's very, very good sleep as well. Believe it or not, taking a nap, have some coffee right before you take the nap. Now, you would think that's counterproductive, but coffee, the caffeine doesn't hit your system for 20 minutes or so.
Oh, interesting.
So that'll be, if you want a quickie, that would be the quickie way to wake you up.
Oh, I see. That's interesting.
Yeah. So those are some. Oh, and here's the one that freaked me out. If you keep wanting to move your body, if you feel restless, put your body in a half military crawl position. Now, let me describe that.
Please do.
That is...
Would this be in one of these sex journals?
No. You lie on your stomach.
Yes.
And you have one arm and one leg on one side of your body. So either your right leg and arm or your left. You put forward. You're on your stomach, put one arm up and that same leg up. Tuck it under you as if you're moving forward. Interestingly, this position makes it very difficult to move your arms and legs without moving your whole body.
Interesting.
And it calms your nervous system down.
Well, you know, it's very interesting.
Yourself.
I sort of sleep that way. And one time I will often find myself sleeping with one of my hands sort of coming to my mouth, and I think someone told me that goes back to literally like a baby.
Fetal.
Yeah, and you literally would have been sucking your thumb or something. It's amazing. I'm 62, and you just, because that's how you felt the most comfortable when you were early on. That's all you could do is sleep or whatever you're doing in utero.
Wow. Do you know that there is a turtle that in utero.
This
no,
is
wait a
not,
minute. You don't know about this part.
Okay.
No, when they're in the egg. When they are in the egg, they know of no other fetus that can do this.
Okay.
Without any, legs yet or anything. This particular turtle fetus can manage to move to the warmer part of the egg. It detects that there's a part of the egg that is warmer and moves that way. I'm not kidding you. Now, I know you're saying...
Well, that makes sense.
This is a Chinese soft-shelled turtle.
So therefore they cook it, I'm sure.
Oh, no, it's a absolute...
national treasure?
Absolute delicacy.
Oh.
And served in mostly in... very fancy
But tell
restaurants.
us what it does, Lynn.
Okay, well, so this turtle is very different. It is the only known living mammal. It's not a mammal, a turtle.
I don't think a turtle's a mammal.
It's an amphibian? What is
I think
that?
it's an amphibian, yeah.
It is the only one that urinates through its mouth.
Carry that with you through the day, listeners. When you see something on the street that's repellent, just think, there's a turtle that urinates through its mouth. There are odd things on Smithfield Street, but I think nothing quite as splendiferous as that.
The Chinese soft-shelled turtle is unique in the animal kingdom.
Yes.
There's no other one that urinates through its mouth, and there's no other fetus that can move to the warmest spot in its egg.
Okay.
And that's the soft-shelled turtle. I just want you to know.
But we do certainly know that babies move around. I don't know if they're looking for warmth, but they move around in the womb.
They do. But isn't that interesting? Look how we got there. We got there through
Julius
sleep,
Caesar.
napping, then your hand moving to your mouth. You're saying it's sort of like a fetal thing. Got us to turtle fetuses. I'm telling you. It is interesting, isn't it?
Very interesting. We always have a good gab.
Oh, God knows where we're going to end up next.
Oh, let's talk about what a skis ball Lance Armstrong is. Because if people haven't seen the papers this morning, even though there's been, of course, all of this gossip for a long time about whether he doped or not, but it seems front page of the New York, actually the biggest headline
in the New York Times today, they did
doesn't do headlines. Yeah. They basically said that they have incontrovertible evidence that not only did he dope, but he was a control freak, and he made everyone on his team of racers, cyclists, dope as well. And because as one of them, reported what Lance said, goeth. Went.
Here's how it's just. This is as stinging a journalistic paragraph as I've seen. All the time that Armstrong was a hero on two wheels, a cancer survivor who was making his mark as perhaps the most dominant cyclist in history. But the evidence that has been brought forth by the anti-doping agency draws a picture of Armstrong as an infamous cheat, a defiant liar, and a bully who pushed others to cheat with him.
Damn the man.
Wow.
No, it's horrible because, I mean, in a sense, I mean, ultimately, so he won some prizes and he won a lot of money. I mean, there's worse people than that. But just you think people...
No, in the end, all you have is your name. So what if you want all... I mean, he's...
Well, I know. Well, but I want... Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, someone with that kind of ego, he's going to hate the fact that he's going down in history as a sleazeball.
cheater. Right.
Yeah. I mean, at least one can say with Tiger Woods, he may have been a randy goat, but that doesn't mean he was a bad golfer, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's a huge story. No, it's not huge, but it's big. It's a big story in the New York Times today. Apparently, almost all his teammates, have provided evidence. I mean, they've all fessed up. How can he continue to say that every one of those guys is lying?
Exactly.
The teammates who submitted sworn affidavits, and obviously by doing so, admitting their own doping.
Complicity,
include some of the best cyclists of the generation. And then they just name names. There's a million names. And I don't, if you're a cyclist fan, I guess you would know them.
Right.
But they say that they even took private planes, private jets to Spain, where they would be, their blood would be removed. There's one particular doctor who was the genius who figured out how to avoid getting detected.
Right.
When you would take
the blood doping.
And they played every angle, and that's why people are, well, how could he keep passing these tests? I mean, it was like this huge group.
Well, it's interesting, you were talking about the sort of segues today, and I think this sort of, we're talking about Julius Caesar, et cetera. I think partly and why the Times went on so much about it is, it's unmasking someone who was guilty in a fraud, but also the fact of we hold, and I think Americans more than others, our heroes in very high regard. And I think when a hero is dethroned, we need to just absolutely decimate him.
Well, there are people who will not. He's got a lot of people sticking with him.
Well,
a lot
fools.
Still. I guess they say their fallback position seems to be everybody's been doping. Everybody. If that's what the sport is, then get rid of it. I don't know. Get rid of it. Or it was suggested by somebody I talked to, in the bodybuilding world.
All right.
There are now two different things you can get crowns and championships from doing it with the crowd that does all the steroids and ends up with these scary, horrifying looking bodies.
Amazing Hulk bodies.
Or there are people who do it naturally, but they acknowledge you can do it by through chemistry and hard work, or you can do it naturally. And somebody suggested that, then maybe we should just have a natural cycling thing. I don't know.
Well, the thing is horrible. I mean, obviously, he was a good cyclist. I mean, the doping only does so much.
Yeah. All right, never mind. Don't just keep going. Don't let people...
All right. No. Ray, though, is always smart. Anyway, but... so obviously he was a good cyclist, but it's that notion of what he was going after were the accolades and the money. And I think in the case of someone like this, probably the accolades even more. The money followed. But then he became a cancer survivor.
Well, and he has his foundation that does a lot of charitable stuff, and that a lot of the money goes into that.
Except I read something when this was just starting to come up in the last 6 months, the most recent bit of it, that the foundation, although it does do good, that there's a lot of money spent on infrastructure. You know how when you give money, you want to find out is 1% going for infrastructure or 60%? I know that. What's the one that is all over the country that business people always do? Not Community Chest. What's it called?
United Way.
United Way has the experience of using a lot of money for
infrastructure. Really?
That's what I've found and researched. But so there's that, and everyone wearing those yellow bracelets. Well, I haven't seen so many of those recently. Those Lance Armstrong yellow bracelets, or rubber band things, or whatever they are.
Drug use. I'll say here, he depended on EPO. and testosterone and blood transfusions. EPO, by the way, is...
I'm not sure what that is.
A banned blood booster.
Oh, okay.
Okay? And riders on his team were given water bottles containing EPO.
Oh, wow.
As if they were boxed lunches. So, I mean, they were like, and they were tailor-made for each one.
Oh, really?
So that the bottles
if you weighed so much, you were so tall. Oh, my God. Now, that's just so Machiavellian.
Well, excuse me. So, the bottles were carefully labeled for them. So one would say, Jonathan, 5 times 2, meaning 5 vials of 2,000 international units of EPO.
Oh, jeez.
And somebody else had a different... and Landis, the guy who was on the team who also was stripped of the win he had, right? Landis was asked to babysit the blood inside the refrigerator of Armstrong's apartment just to make sure the electricity didn't go out and
oh my God.
the blood did not spoil. Here's another guy, Zabriskie, a national time trial champion, recalled serenading the team manager, who certainly was in on all of this, with a song about EPO, the booster, to the tune of Jimi Hendrix's Purple Haze. And it went something like this. EPO all in my veins. Lately things just don't seem the same. Acting funny, but I don't know why. Excuse me why I passed this guy.
Wow.
Wow. And you wonder why Armstrong said, I'm out. I'm out. I'm not going to contest these charges anymore. Yeah, he's out because they have him, have him dead to rights, and yet he still will not acknowledge it. And that says something about who Lance Armstrong is, too.
Well, and also about the fact that, as you said just a few minutes earlier, that many people won't believe it.
Well, they can't. People don't believe what they don't want to believe.
Right.
They have an amazing capacity.
Well, and in this country, how we make sports, just, no one's going to say something about one of those Nobel Prize winners, like that they didn't do this.
No.
But an athlete.
And the other thing we didn't mention, speaking of sports, is viewership of the vice presidential debate will be real low in Pittsburgh.
Oh, because the Steelers are playing tonight?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Jess looks guilty already. It's hard to be a good citizen.
We have
like
a
us.
Luddite sitting across from us. Luddite girl.
Okay.
Or maybe a Luddess. I don't know.
No, that's sexist.
No. There are female forms of certain
actor
and actress.
They don't use that anymore.
They don't anymore.
They don't use actor and actress.
Well, the French do. Oh, no, the French are stopping, too. Yeah,
they are.
Anyway.
There's a job, there's a definition,
that's
male,
right.
female, it doesn't matter. We're taking a break.
But there's not a seamer.
And then
in terms of seamstress. Gotcha.
Yeah, we're going.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Go to bergbargains.com for great deals on tickets to the Science Center, City Theater, History Museum, Carnegie Museums, and the top Halloween attractions in Pittsburgh. This week, get discounts on gift cards from Little Bangkok and The Strip, Olive Garden, and Nordstrom's. Bergbargains.com. Local deals, local merchants. Bergbargains.com.
Okay, time to, again, try to canoodle you into... canoodle's not the word. Cajole you. Canoodle is to,
cajole wasn't even the right word, to encourage.
Well, thank you very much. To encourage you. To do what...
Inspire you.
To do what Tom has done.
Is about to do.
You still don't... You haven't been...
Well, I got called. Actually, we're talking about the Greater Pittsburgh Literacy Council. Because I was away for a week or so, I got called by my coordinator, or whatever the title is, and I got an email. So I called and left a message for her, and she has someone for me. And so with luck, in the next week or so, we'll start up.
Are you nervous?
No. I'm very interested to meet the person, and hopefully we will hit it off. Because I think this, as opposed to, just going to school where you're stuck with Sister Rose, unctuous, as I said earlier.
Leave her alone, that poor woman.
Yeah, she's probably like a Nazi with a gun strapped on her hip in Ecuador. But actually, I have a cousin who's doing just that. But I'm really encouraged the fact of really opening the door in someone's life to what reading will allow you. I mean, to the remedial stuff that many people are going for, a GED, etc., but also to the pleasures that reading can bring to your life.
Oh,
so you don't just watch TV, so make a connection to what we talked about earlier.
Exactly right. So if any of you have the good heart and the capacity to do what Tom's doing, see, I mean, you can see why it'd be harder for me because I said, are you nervous? It doesn't even occur to you to be nervous. I would be a nervous wreck.
Why?
I don't know, because I don't feel comfortable teaching.
Oh.
And
well, I may be once I'm confronted by someone who, maybe is not getting it really well,
right.
And you get something like, stupid, do it, it's easy. But I would never say that. But, I mean, we'll see. I mean, you have to see when you step in front of it. But
well, you're going to be one of the few tutors with, like, a cheering section.
Well, I hope so.
You have to give updates. Anyway, guys, if you want to do it, just go to their website, which is GPLC, Greater Pittsburgh Literacy Council.com. They really need, .org, excuse me. They really need more folks.
And what's really interesting is that I donated, so to speak, 2 Saturdays. I mean, it could be any day of the week, 4 hours each day for tutor training and giving us some tips, etc. And I've never seen a bunch of people I'm talking about the teachers, so enthusiastic, so helpful, so much, trying to give us, don't be too disappointed if your first or even second or even third person doesn't work out, because these are people who are in difficult situations of all sorts, and they really need a lot of TLC as well as really what one might call life coaching, in a good sense. Not like buy a.
We're back to life coaching.
No, but it's not like.
You're doing it for free.
Well, yeah. But I mean, it's not like buy a Hart Schaffner and Mark suit, buy a Jaguar, and you'll get the job. But you might say, hey, brush your teeth and don't wear flip-flops to a job interview. And I don't mean that to be insulting, but some people might not know that that's inappropriate.
Okay. And the phone number I should give is 412-393-7600. That'd be that.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
What? Yeah. I got something in my eye. I got something in my eye. I got something in my throat. You're
a mess. You're a mess.
Oh, it's awful. So, a few little quickie things here.
Oh, let's have a quickie.
What? Jeez.
You're a dirty mind.
Did you see the South Carolina voter ID law just went down?
Oh, great.
Are there any that...
I was just going to ask.
I don't know. Almost. Isn't that amazing? All these states, all of these efforts by Republicans to keep Democrats from going to the polls, and thank God for the judiciary. In almost every instance, they've been pushed back. However, South Carolina, like Pennsylvania, it's not like the law can't take effect.
Right, exactly.
It can't take effect for this election.
Right.
They're saying you can't do this like that fast. This is ridiculous. No.
I thought it was great fun when, a couple of weeks ago, when Sophie Mazlov lost her. She said, I'm not going to be able to vote the first time in 60 years or something.
Well, the funniest thing is when she went to get her ID, she said that she'd been voting since she was 18. And somebody pointed out, but the voting age was 21 when you were a kid. And she said, that didn't matter. So, in other words,
she was a fraud. Former Pittsburgh mayor. Maybe she should be on the front page of the Post-Gazette.
That's so funny. Sophie, I love her. She cannot... Somehow, every time she sort of comes out there, talk about a zinger. There's a wonderful
malapropism.
Maybe
really.
A malaprop. It's just she's so.
Yeah, she's crazy.
She's just real.
Well, now one thing. I don't know if I mentioned this when I was in New York. This similar to you, but I was saying, this business of, and you said the name you use now is not your birth name in terms of.
Geez, I don't remember that. Yeah, my first name is not my.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I saw something where there was someone who was a transsexual. So Bert is now Beatrice. And Will
So
the county or the
birth certificate has the wrong gender.
So what will they give you? I mean, do you have to strip to sort of say,
Isn't
see?
that something?
I just wonder what the national policy or state policy rather.
That would be a problem.
Yeah. And what's interesting, I'm not to bring up and say, Sokolowski's bringing up transsexualism, but it's just sort of saying in this modern world, when we do now have this, is not a minuscule issue.
No. When we've acknowledged that it ain't just male and female, it ain't just black,
Well, it ain't just normative.
No, the world is more complicated.
Right.
And we, many of us, have acknowledged that. And the law, in large part, has acknowledged that. Thank God. I was going to say something about Romney, but I don't feel like it. I'm just sort of... I can't. I always, this happens to me at the end of every one of these godforsaken, absolutely unending election
I know, it's
cycles that we do here. This is, if Americans, well, the reason is there's money to be made here. That's what's going on. There's money to be made.
Part of it also is us folk. Not so much me, or not even so much you nowadays, but when you were a more traditional journalist, you got to fill the pages.
That's right.
So and it should be that Maureen Dowd and all these people, even if they're pro-liberal, pro-Mr. Obama, etc., they also should have the wherewithal to say take him down a bit when he does something wrong. But it's sort of like so much was made over the last debate. We don't need to go over that, but it's because to fill the pages.
Yeah.
To fill the pages.
And thank God once, they move beyond it once they have a reason to. Now
another zinger comes up. That's when they move beyond it.
So, now they're moving now into this, I would say, also just politically manufactured story about the Libyan
yes, exactly.
thing. It's everything that happens now is politics. And to see media just following along where the parties are trying to create narratives, and Republicans tend to be better at doing narratives when they stick, if they can stick to them.
Right.
And Romney, as you see, is still Romney. He says one thing, his campaign says the other, almost on a daily basis.
Right. Well, I said this to someone the other day, and this person screamed at me and said, "If I was sitting there, I'd hit you." And I now have a migraine. I said, "Oh, please," and we hung up. But you really want, with that, you really wonder what kind of president he would be, in the sense that would he, in fact, be so etch-a-sketch that that's not very good? Or, as indications have been, might he be more liberal than the rank and file? Well,
I don't think there's any doubt that he is, as a person, probably much more moderate. He is more moderate than his party. And it is conceivable that if he had the reins of power, he would say to his party, I'm the president.
Because he's made the point with Ryan and whatever.
That's what they're hoping that independent voters will figure now.
Yeah.
But, did you see the Navy SEAL's mom who slapped him down?
No. For what reason?
Well, Romney and the whole Libyan thing, looking for the political aspect of it, had been telling audiences that he realized that this wonderful young Navy SEAL he had met at a Christmas party a year or so ago was, in fact, one of those who was killed at the consulate in Benghazi. Uh-huh. And so he was, in his speeches, talking about what a fine young man this was and how he didn't need to be killed because our security was too low, and if the State Department and Obama hadn't had they been more serious, this wonderful young man would be alive. Well, the young man's mother, Mrs. Doherty, said this: "I don't trust Romney. He shouldn't make my son's death part of his political agenda. It's wrong to use these brave young men who wanted freedom for all to degrade Obama." we ain't mentioning her son anymore. And can you imagine how many Republicans sort of hearing that the Navy SEAL's mother came down on him like that would have a moment of such cognitive dissonance that their head might explode, because they'll think, wait a minute, Navy SEALs are people like us.
Yeah, right.
They're patriots. They are not cut and run, whamby-pamby Democrats. And here's the Navy SEAL's mother, and she doesn't trust Romney, and she obviously likes Obama. How could a Navy SEAL come out of a home like that, let alone a womb like that? God almighty. So anyway, Romney's had to cease and desist. And the White House has had to cease and desist using Big Bird.
Oh, really?
Well, I guess I don't know if it was the White House. Somebody put out a...
Well, I saw one of the Big Bird ads.
Well, Sesame Street has said, hey, get him out of there.
Well, that's right. Forget anything else. Copyright law.
Well, right. But, everybody, every other day you read some musician is screaming at one of the usually it's the Republicans, because, usually it's the Republicans. You can't use my song for your, I can't stand you. You can't use my song. Forget about it. Okay. So, trying to think. Anything else there, Thomas? I think I've run out of
have you talked about this business of the RAD money at all on the show?
Nah.
No?
Not much.
Not interested?
Well, okay, so some of the RAD money is going to be peeled away to help keep public transit on the streets. And a lot of people have said that is not what RAD was intended for. That's for
arts, no, parks.
Parks, whatever.
Stadia, zoos. It's not all the Andy Warhol Museum.
Well, if you want anybody to come to all those places, you damn well better have some buses. Right?
Well, right. But the issue becomes, could they find the money someplace else? And the comment that I think Chris made to me, which I thought was very smart, was, all right, if you're doing this for short term, like for a year, so that the whole system doesn't collapse, fine. But they were saying 10 years, and the question is, the transportation union has not made a commitment for 10 years. So what's good for the goose is good. I mean, based on their wages, etc. So what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And the other question is, they could raise again, because remember, the liquor tax was higher originally when Dan Honorado put it up, and then he lowered it by 0.5% or whatever
so
it was. That could get cranked up again, too.
Well, I don't know. The problem shouldn't be there in the first place.
No, sure. But the question, I guess, that comes to us in the arts, and I really believe the arts should not make a big issue about this, because everyone could look supercilious. But I do think, where does one always go when you need some extra money to things that are less important? I mean, there are other slush funds around, and why not go to those? But be that as it may, I mean, I certainly feel that people should be able to get to their jobs, and doctors, and
and
to visit those cultural or educational institutions.
Well, there was a time when government, people understood that government should be funding things like public transportation, that was a benefit to all. And what's happened is our government has, in the form of the Republicans now say that that's socialism. And yet I read in the paper today about how the Steelers are getting itchy because they want to build 8,000 more seats or something. I don't know, 3,000, 8,000, whatever the hell they're doing there. And of course, they're wanting government money.
And why?
What, the stadium authority isn't a government?
Well, and number one...
They got to float bonds. They
well,
and
number one...
That. They're going to raise the parking tax.
Well, and number one, those seats are going to cost $1 bazillion. So shouldn't that eventually help pay for...
Well, I have to tell you, it just boils my blood. We can't find money to get poor people to their jobs.
The bus, but
we can subsidize the Steelers putting some more seats in. Exactly. It makes you want to scream.
No, exactly.
That's not socialism? What? No,
exactly.
Government only. No, when they get it, when the rich get government money, That is as things should be.
Especially when they're all rapists and dopists.
What?
Well, I mean, what do we mean about Lance Armstrong or Mr. Roethlisberger or whatever? I mean, it's interesting.
But this is not.
No. Whoa.
The Roonies.
Well, no, I know the Roonies. My favorite people in Pittsburgh. And that was ironic, meant to be ironic and sarcastic. But the other part of it is, I remember when I first came here, there was a whole thing about the stadiums. People would scream and yell about all these other things, and the minute it came to sport, oh yes, let's put the bonds for that. We wouldn't be a real city unless we had professional sports teams.
Right.
Although there's no basketball team, right?
That's correct.
No.
No, it's not a basketball
team. So we're really
city.
not a real.
No, we would not be a real city if we didn't have a football team. It doesn't matter if we have public transit, but
but you have to have some
real cities have
throwing
to have
a pigskin. But
since I've essentially I've forsworn my my love of football.
Well, you forsworn it? No, I didn't. Why?
I just think I had it. I saw one player. Was that the first Steeler game?
This season?
Yeah, there was a player from the other team lying on the field. People thought he might be paralyzed, dead. Who the hell knows? But every game, we take it as a given that this game, part of this game is people are hauled off.
Yeah.
People are hauled off the field of play.
Well, you have two refrigerators crashing into one another at 30 miles an hour. What do you expect?
I for some reason, because now we know, knowledge is a
dangerous thing.
Yeah, because now we know that they're harming themselves.
Right.
We can see that there's harm in the game. But then that they're... And I'm thinking, I drove by a playground last night, and there were all these little kids, and they were on a football. They were doing football. In a, clearly school football or some kind of... And I thought, geez, if you were a parent today and you knew...
Right.
What, would you even want your kid to start playing?
I don't know where it was, the Times or maybe it was a local paper, but anyway, they were talking about the fact of even in high school, and probably even grade school, but these repeated concussions...
Yeah.
Can do, doesn't have to be
bad.
One of these huge guys playing professional ball, but that kids, the ball, that brain is going wata inside the skull.
Yeah, that's right. And I didn't have time today to read the obit of this old football player who died, Alex Karras. He played for the Detroit Lions, and he's a great character. But I think he was part of a lawsuit.
That's right, he was, because he ended up.
Against the NFL.
I heard on the radio that his part of his death was due to increasing dementia, which could be Alzheimer's, but who knows? It was exacerbated certainly by.
So after you get to a point, even though you loved, I can't watch it anymore. I look every once in a while. I'll look up. I'll see. I wonder what the score is. I'm still sort of, but I find I have not watched a.
Well, and something that just zipped into my mind. What? Is the fact that when you think about it, I'm trying to think if I'm mistaken in this. No, I don't think so. All of the games, the sport that are in the Olympics, now they've been added to by, rhythmic swimming, which I love, with those pins on the nose. But none of those were sports. Yes, you could screw up a tendon or something, but none of those involved like whacking someone on the head or pulling their puppet too hard or whatever. They were about, faster, whatever. But now all of our sports, it's about hitting other people with a stick. I mean, poor Mr. Crosby. And,
hockey and football are the more violent ones. Baseball's not a violent sport.
No.
And it's why people don't like it as much.
I'm sure.
It's gentlemanly.
No, seriously.
I suppose. Anyway, this is an evolution that's occurred to me. It's how probably somebody becomes a vegetarian, too. You just finally get to a point where you say, you know what, I just don't think I want to be part of this anymore. But I don't want to seem like a douchebag, I really don't, because I
would say of you as a sentient intellectual.
Okay. Which is not to say I won't sneak a peek at a game now and then, too, but I can't.
Like a junkie.
Yeah, it's bad.
I just saw a punt or whatever. That was punt, isn't that something?
Yeah, punt. It's a kick.
Oh.
Did you know that?
Well, there's bunt, too, but that's baseball.
Bunt is baseball.
Or cake.
Punt is... Yeah. Bunt is the cake.
Bunt.
All right, we got to get out of here, for God's sake.
Bunt or punch your way into the weekend.
If anyone can figure out what the hell this show was about, God bless you. Anyway, beautiful day.
Beautiful.
Enjoy. Tomorrow, by the way, I'll be joined for the last half hour by Pittsburgh novelist Kathleen George, who I love her books. I just finished her latest. It's called Simple. And you're going to want to read it. It's fun. It's a page-turner. Spent all last weekend. Hold up. Loved it. Okay, tomorrow. See ya.
Oh, two things. I just thought.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.